Welcome back to Bro 2022. We're just about to start round three, and we've had two exciting matches so far. First, we had the clash between the two idol sets that are currently dominating the meta, and then a close match between two underdog decks that have yet to prove themselves in English. Leon, how about you lead us into the next decks we're about to see for the exciting round three?
Sure. So coming up next, we have Alexander Denk from Austria on Door Choice Camelot FGO. Um, this deck is one of the newer decks that came out. It's basically more of a mid-rangey deck. It's looking to stall at level 1 a bit, reach high powers there. So it has good matchup into standby decks such as Wishku Tensei. And then once it reaches level 2, it wants to early play the Lion King level 3. And then with the climax combo of that Lion King, they can heal every turn when they play the climax and attack. So that's really strong. Additionally, the Lion King also burns on attack, similar to a Love Life Sunshine Yo. So yeah, it's just a really strong profile all around.
Yeah, definitely. For those who are familiar with some of the meta sets, this deck plays a bit like a mix between Rushia Hololive and Love Light Sunshine that Leon mentioned. It's a bit. It strikes a balance between the two in terms of strength and speed. This deck has a lot of deck control, can mill through it quite fast, and can also set up those burns quite nicely. Whereas with Love Light Sunshine, you might only be able to confirm the top one. This one can actually shuffle back burns, which can be quite devastating if performed well.
Yeah, so maybe just look at the other deck.
Slime. Yeah, then let's take a look at 8 Standby Slime, if I'm correct. Pretty standard list, I'd say. We do see the inclusion of some spice with the 2-1 Rimuru that actually allows you to refresh yourself. You do still take damage, but it's on demand, so quite nice to have. There's also an anti-change counter and a memory counter, which are quite good at in the current meta. And other than that, it seems very straightforward to me. I don't know if you have something else to add.
No, I don't have anything to add here. I do want to point out, though, that the main goal of this deck, obviously, is to get the level 1 Rimuru. It has a Twin Drive effect, so it checks for the trigger 2 times with the climax. Then you want to stand by the yellow level 2, the Geld, that can boost other characters by sacrificing itself. And then at the end, you finish with a really big and flashy finisher from the melee, playing the event from the hand during your attack phase. It's really cool.
Yeah, and definitely this type of finisher can be quite good now as decks are looking to compress as much as possible, especially against Hololive, even maybe against the new Tokyo Revengers build that's going around. I can definitely see this deck perform quite well, and I think this choice is well suited for a tournament like Bro.
Yeah, definitely.
So once the players are ready, we should be able to go into the next match. Who do you think is favored for this particular match, Leon?
So, personally, I think FGO is pretty favored here.
Okay, FGO. Any specific reason?
Yeah, so, well, the Geld is stand by the level 1, right? And the Slime wants to stand by the Geld at level 1 into the front row. However, the Bedivere, the level 1 combo from Fate Grand Order, does reach quite high power levels, especially with the Ritual of Holy Selection event that they play. So that alone can actually contest one Geld. So they would either need to sacrifice another Geld to save that, or just let that die or let it reverse and then sacrifice it for another character. So they get forced to sacrifice it, basically. And I think that's pretty strong, because I think 8 Standby Slime is at its best if it doesn't need to sacrifice the Geld and can just do it as an extra thing.
And I guess we're heading right into the game as we see both players, Alexander Denk on the left side and Anna on the right. Not quite sure who's starting, but it seems like Alex is starting with FGO. Clocking the 3-2 Mordred there, which is an early play if your opponent has an early play, which is quite good to have against certain decks.
Yeah, playing the Bedivere here, which is a mill runner, so at the start of Anna's attack phase, he can put the top card of his deck into his waiting room and then move it to a different position of the stage.
So we instantly see a cancel coming from Anna's side. I'm not sure how exactly you'd want this in this particular matchup. Usually a standby deck wants to eat as much as possible, like to get the board up as early as possible. However, I do think that Slime in particular uh, might want to wait a bit in this particular matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I think usually, like you said, you want to reach level 1 as fast as possible so that you can actually set up your board first. But for Slime, and in this matchup in particular, you probably just want to take it a bit slow, accumulate stock, which you want to do anyway. Especially since your level 1 climax combo is not even... It's not that strong, right? So you can afford to set up with your standbys later or during the attack phase. So you can afford to have a slower turn at level 0.
Yeah, and definitely looking at Alex's lineup for level 1, it's quite limited. And if he's forced to use the combo early, he might not actually be able to contest the Rimuru, even without the Geld. So you might be seeing the Slime player play into that.
Yep. Alex canceling on 3. However, Anna did trigger a standby, but it looks like she doesn't have any targets left. Kinda unfortunate. One of those things that just happen as a standby deck is sometimes you have a standby in hand and a good target in grave. So you think about playing it on level 0, and then you always have the risk of triggering the other standby from deck.
Yeah, it's very unlikely to... Well, not necessarily unlikely, but with only 2 attacks, you're not expecting to necessarily see a standby, so you'd rather just play one from hand to guarantee having that play next turn.
Yeah, exactly. So while it didn't work out perfectly this time, it definitely was correct, I think. Just try and get the 1-0 out of her waiting room.
So we see the level 0 assassin being played, which on play gets to minus a character by 1k power. Meaning she's able to actually minus the Milim enough to be put into the win room, denying that reverse level 0 ability, meaning Alex can keep board to deny some extra damage for next turn. Then we see the drop search being played, allowing Alex to fix for his level 1 pieces.
Could also choose to shuffle something back if he wants to.
That's yeah.
Probably
That's
doesn't
very
need it right
true.
now, yeah.
Probably a bit too early for that, yeah. And we do see the level 1 Betty Fear come out, which is the level 1 climax combo of choice here. Pretty straightforward climax combo, I'd say. On attack, mill stew, and then salvages the level milled. But as you mentioned, it does reach quite high powers, which is why a lot of people favor this card.
Yeah. If you look at the effects in the stat line, just with the climax alone, it reaches 8,000 power, so that's really strong just on its own. And then of course you have some support cards, the event that can boost by 1k and so on and so forth.
So we see Alex probably contemplating if he wants to slam a climax here, or maybe just power checking. Pretty sure with only 1 extra character, the Rimuru on front is weaker than his characters. And yeah, definitely weaker.
Yeah.
As we see him being reversed. Ooh, that's a lot of damage coming in.
Usually this wouldn't be good, of course, but as we said, for standby reaching level 1 is not that bad, right?
Yeah.
You're still happy about it. She has 1 climax combo removal already. I would imagine she probably has another one in hand. Yeah. So it's not the end of the world here.
As you said, both ways are pretty fine for this particular deck. You might be able to exhaust level 1 options for the opponent if they hit level 1 first. However, with the Geld, you pretty much guarantee that your level 1 board will survive almost anything they can throw at you. Meaning that being level 1 first and setting up that board is also more than sufficient.
Yeah. Alright, so let's see what she does here. Is clocking one of the Shunas.
So yeah, with the Rimuru being pushed up, I'm expecting the climax combo turn immediately. 1 Rimuru doesn't quite hit it, but if she manages to field at least 1 more, as we see right now, then she's in a really good spot. Can she find the third one? If so, then that's pretty much all eight standby slime wants to see from his first level 1 turn. However,
Yeah,
I don't
it'll be
think
really strong.
the other. Oh, she might hit one here.
Oh, oh,
Unfortunate.
kinda unfortunate for her, but she did heal 4 damage away. So one thing that is kinda hard for her here is that Alex presented a full board. So while she doesn't have a problem with reaching level 1 first per se, Alex being at 2 damage and having a full board here means that she really needs to reveal some soul triggers here for her attacks, otherwise she might fall behind in damage quite a bit.
Which could be a problem, however, with full board and standby climax being played, she might actually not even deal enough damage to bring Alex to level 1. And depending on how Alex's hand is prepped, keeping him at 0 might actually also be in her favor.
That's true, yeah. We'll see how this goes, I think, but you're probably right.
So, Mill Runner whiffs, but it doesn't really matter since the board is full. He does mill a clean damage off the top. Okay, so the lack of damage, the lack of damage is not relevant. She swings for 3 here, almost guaranteeing he'll hit at least level 1, possibly even equalizing the damage.
He was listening to us and just told us, no guys, it's fine, I have the damage right here.
That's another swing for 2.
Another swing for 2, and if he cancels? No, okay. So he does reach level 1 here. And we will probably see if he is prepped or not.
Well, we did see him grab at least one Betty Fear. Does he have a second is the question. Does he have the climax? It's also very important as he doesn't reach quite that much power without the climax. I think he only reaches up to 8k if he resolves the climax combo. Otherwise, it's just a 5-5 attacker, which is enough to tie with the Rimuru. However, that might not be the best, as you're just giving standby some extra soul damage to push with the open lanes if you do tie. But let's see what exactly happened here.
Well, he did have one Benny
okay. He did clock the climax, so that tells me he does have one.
Yeah, that's very, very possible. Maybe more than one.
Very interesting that the level 0 assassin has been cited, as the Soe is weaker, but this does deny some hand fixing for Alex, as he's not able to resolve the ability unless she's reversed.
Oh, you know what's possible? Maybe he didn't have any other red card in hand.
That's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do see the Brainstorm being played. The Brainstorm, very nice in this deck, allows you to consistently check the top card of your deck, confirm what's there every time a Knight of the Round Table is played, such as that Mordred. You then see the event being played, which allows you to check the top 4 cards of your deck, and then you're forced to put it as a marker underneath one of your Knights of the Round Table, and that character does get 1k power until the end of the turn. And there's a lot of cards in this set that gain benefits off of having that marker underneath it. This Mordred in particular gains Twin Drive and 2k power, which is very huge for a 1-0 character to have.
Yep. Also worth noting that the card he has in his back, the 8 to the Lion King Agravane, that one actually has an effect if it gets a marker, and you can just put the marker away. So if you don't want the event staying on board, you can just put it underneath that character and then put it into waiting room.
So we do see a Brainstorm probably looking for another copy of the Betty Fear, as a single climax combo is not really that optimal. Like, sure, it refunds you the climax, but it's not pushing your game state forward.
Yeah. But we will see, right? I think there was one in his clock at level 0. There's one being milled now. So it's gonna be tough for him even next turn to get more of them, I think.
Yeah. So we see the Event Bonder being played, allows him to pitch a card from hand and then grab the event from waiting room, which is really solid. Allows for some on-demand milling. You're not just hoping to draw into the event. But we don't see him play it. Yeah, he's straight up going into his attack phase.
Probably just wanted to get the event before he refreshes, because he's really far down into his deck. Of course, triggering on the first attack here is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, but it does give him the 2-1 assist, which is crucial to his game plan at level 2.
Yep.
Especially with the Betty Veer, it's a bit random what you can grab from the waiting room, because you're relying on the mills. Just being able to grab that key piece with the choice trigger is always welcome, especially since he can pay it out with the double trigger, which instantly happens.
Just don't trigger again. Ah, he listened.
That's a huge swing, cancelled off the top, and Anna's not having anything of it.
I mean, she did reach level 1 first, right? She's already at 5 damage in clock, so it makes sense that she doesn't want to take that. Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, so we see the Betty Veer combo being resolved. He does mill at level 2, which means he would have been able to grab the assist. However, now he has options of grabbing the counter since he's already set for level 2. And a counter is always nice to have against standby, especially the anti-change counter.
Yeah, exactly. It is the anti-change counter that you picked, so it's gonna be really strong for the coming turns. Especially now that Anna reached level 2. But of course, Alex needs to be level 2 to actually use the counter, so...
So interestingly enough, we didn't see any of the characters being saved by the guild. I think Anna has different plans. Did not necessarily want to contest board there. Maybe not want to give Alex milling or encore options since he could have triggered like another climax as you were worried.
Yep.
So this hitting her to level 2 though might have not been optimal since she is able to field level 3 characters now with the standby, and especially the Benimaru 3-2, which we did see her run, can be quite the problem for Alex, since he's hoping to have his characters survive on attack, make sure he can ride the Lion Kings. So we'll have to see if she's able to set up such a big board that this becomes an issue for Alex.
Yeah, maybe he will actually need to side into the guilds. But I think that's kind of fine for Alex if he needs to side into the guilds, since at least he does have an early play focused game plan, right? So he will have the soul to actually still deal a little bit of damage when siding level 2 characters. However, Anna herself is probably not in that position. So if she decides she's going to do a stalemate for board, she might actually bring herself into an unfavorable position there.
Yeah, we actually do see her resolve the Riki effect, which at level 2 is a bit... like, it tells me that she's in dire need of some utility cards, as I can only grab one or lower characters, so maybe her hand is a bit tricky at the moment, but she is able to grab the Zoe off of it, and is able to hand fix into a level 3, so this might actually turn things around if she's able to find, for example, the early play healer, or maybe even...
She does only have 2 cards in hand after this effect, so it'll still be kind of rough.
We do see her grab the early play healer. This will allow her to heal off the climax she took off of the Riki effect. If desired, of course, she can also just leave it there.
I mean, it's kind of a hard choice, right? With that few cards in hand, obviously playing the healer here is really good since you do heal the climax away. But at the same time, you end your turn at 1 card in hand. And your opponent, if he reaches level 2, can probably just run over them.
In this particular matchup, I'm expecting Alex to only be able to actually scale over 1 early played lane or like a standby lane, since the Lion King package is limited to only playing 1 Lion King per turn, since you do need to rest both of your back row characters.
Yeah, but he can play the Mordred as well, and the Mordred, if you
Yeah,
have the
that's
Lion
true.
King
The
gets the
Mordred,
power.
the Mordred is in fact live with this board, and it does reach enough power to scale one or two lanes. But you do have to remember the Geld is on the board, and
That
with
is
the
true.
Geld, there's a lot of stuff that can still be a bit spooky for Alex
There's a
to
second
attack
guild
into.
as well.
Yeah, so this opens up a lot of options on the defensive side. Swinging for 3, we see Alex just eat it. His deck was empty, and I assume he's refreshing with 7 here.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, he
Just-
did mill his last choice, I think, with the Bedivere. So kind of a 50-50 here to leave a Climax in deck or not.
Shuffling, checking, and allowing for the cut to occur. But sticking this 3 must be nice for Anna to see that she's at least catching up a bit in the damage. Ooh, and he takes
Ooh.
another climax off of the refresh damage.
That really doesn't feel good for... Oh, at least he does cancel though. And I think if he cancels again, it might even... Okay, no. I think it would have been beneficial for Anna if Alex had cancelled again.
Yeah. If you're the FGO player, you really want to transition into your level 2 game as soon as possible, as banking on your lower levels will deplete your hand, since none of them really plus you efficiently. Like, sure, you can double trigger into climaxes to regain hand, you can climax combo, but it is a bit awkward, and you'd rather just rely on the Lion Kings being on the board.
Yeah. But yeah, this is probably really good for him. I mean, he has stock, he has the game state. Of course, he will have 2 climax already in many room, so it's kind of unfortunate. But 3 even, 3. But with the event, it's not really a big problem since you can just mill through it, and he did keep 1. So depending on, maybe he has other bonders, maybe he can even play multiple events this turn.
Yeah,
There's a lot of lines you can do now.
I'm expecting a bit of a slow turn. Like, you're going to see 1 Lion King being played by the effect of the 2-1 assist. The 2-1 assist, honestly, really amazing. Once you have this on board, you can start spamming the Lion Kings every turn. And then it also immediately gives the Lion King 2k power, as it's an assist for level 3s in front of it. And then when you run out of Lion Kings to play, or if you run out of or if you're level 3 and you don't need to use the ability, you can always rest this and another character to be able to grab one of the events for 1 stock, which is a way of regaining hand in the late game. So if you did bleed a bit in the mid game, you can always rely on this ability.
Yeah.
And then we see the Lion King, yeah.
There she is.
So I'm not sure if Alex actually went for the top check. I think he might have confirmed it when the 2-1 assist was being played.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah. So unless he sees a level 0, I'm not expecting him to play anything else. If he did see a 0, expect the event to be played to mill a bit.
Oh, and he even gets the climax combo off. That's nice for him.
So we see a burn for 1 coming through, which in this deck, if you see a burn, you keep it. You're not going to be greedy.
Yeah.
Unless you're looking for specific numbers to end the game, you'll take anything you get.
So it looks like he sided, or oh no, I'm just making a mistake. It's just too strong for the guild to save. Yeah.
You're a bit too early, yeah. So he started off with the burn for 1, and the burn resolves before any guild action can occur. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not a side, I don't think it's strong enough to actually reverse the Lion King here, because the Lion King with the back row is like 14k, I think.
Yeah, so it was a side for 1, as the damage confirmed. The Bedivere being 8k, the Rimuru doesn't even come close with the single Geld. Unless we see a weird play with 2 Gelds being sacrificed to save a level 0. I'm expecting that one to live as well.
I mean, I would probably party really hard if you did. Basically, a way of telling your opponent to just get off. Of course, it's way more better to not do it. Takes the 2. Does not reach level 3 quite yet.
Yeah, but even with this side, that's a reasonable amount of damage pushed. The burn one, adding an extra instance. Really solid turn for FGO here.
Yeah.
So I was half expecting the standby player to clock into level 3, being free to field anything without worry of the anti-change counter, and making sure that you can contest the Lion King. However, we might see an extended level 2 game where she tries to heal down instead, which is also viable.
I wonder, maybe either she forgot about the anti-change backup, or she actually wants to bait it out. Since it will cost 3 stock and 2 cards in hand, basically.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a valid reason here to have Alex play it.
Forcing him to play the anti-change counter will mean that with only... Oh, he actually does have 5 stock. With 5 stock, he could still afford a new Lion King to be played. However, he is scrambling for stock afterwards, with only 2 stock left. 3 stock after the attack phase. But we're not actually seeing the Lion King being threatened here. And we do see the anti-change come out and being paid in full.
Yep.
Which
will go under deck.
Yeah, which might actually be necessary if Alex is planning on riding longer on level 2. Because the Lion King does heal if you have the climax. Meaning that if he has 2 copies, slamming the climax will healing down to 2-1. Or in this case, 2-4.
So both players are now 2-hand gaming. And I'm gonna be honest here, it looks like a better situation for Alex. Since if he has the climax, he can even heal.
Yeah, it really depends on what his draws are. Like, he can't clock for the climax unless he wants to go into level 3, since he is at 2-6 right now. But if he does have another copy of the Lion King, if he does have the climax, he's pretty much set to last another turn on level 2, removing himself from any danger. But we'll have to see if he was ready to eat this much. So we do see a Brainstorm coming out. This to me indicates he did not have the Lion King, as the Lion King is no longer an option.
Yep. He's not hitting anything. Probably counting his waiting room cards now.
Yeah, so if you're not fielding an extra Lion King, the deck does have to sandbag a bit. Anti-changing the level 3 means that Mordred is also no longer a play. And his other early play only has the condition if you have 2 or less climaxes in deck, which in this case obviously isn't the case, since he still has to force a refresh. But if he does force a refresh, then he's at level 3 and the early play does not matter that much.
Do you think he wants to play any... okay. He already does. Yeah, this is obviously... Yeah, he saw the top card.
Ooh.
Oh no. Oh no, okay. I mean, it's good for him that he gets them back, but obviously that makes the Brainstorm that happened before that really unfortunate.
And the damage taken as well.
Yeah. Oh well. But he does get to get the climax back into the refresh.
Yeah, so milling through your deck, hitting level 3 here means he no longer has to worry about anti-change counter, so he is able to freely front the level 0s, denying the pluses, with both of them being 500 power and 2-5. It's no issue for him to reverse with any of his characters, even with the Geld on the back row. So being level 3 just adds a bit of peace of mind.
And you can also just play your Lion Kings freely now. As you said, it's just kind of a peace of mind. But then again, you are playing against 8 standby slime, so they will have a strong finisher.
Ooh. So he hits a burn 1 off of the top, sniping a climax.
Canceling.
But Anna had two, two on top.
He was prepared. Okay, taking 2. Leveling up herself now. She does have a lot of stock, so while her hand is missing, the stock she has is really good. Especially because her finisher does not really require much cards in hand.
Yeah.
She only really requires stock.
Well, she does need to have the event prepped at least, because that's the only hand card that it costs. And there's no direct lanes on Alex's side, meaning the burn 2 is also not an option. However, the event, if played, can also be quite devastating in this scenario.
Yeah, you can even just hard play the event if you don't draw the level 3, for example. Because of the stock.
Ooh, she finds the event, which is a valid target for the Rimuru, since it adds any level 1 or higher card. She does decide to mill further.
Oh,
and ends up adding the Benimaru.
Ah, that's interesting.
So the Benimaru is cheaper to play, does also provide burn options. So I can see why she would grab that over the event, especially if she already has an event in hand. Can be quite costly to play multiples.
Yeah, also it's a body on board, so the event requires a Millium on board, which she does have, but it's not a body on board. So if you grab the event and maybe you get unlucky with your draws, you might not even be able to present 3 actual attackers.
And it's also not just any body, it's a body that boosts all your other bodies by 1500 power.
Yeah.
Which can make things quite awkward. This is a card you want to see as many of as soon as possible. But even at level 3, you're not complaining about seeing it.
Yeah, she does grab the Millium though.
Yeah, the Millium, quite a great card, has multiple finishing options, depending on the state of your opponent's board. But more importantly, she also heals on play, which is really nice to see on any finisher.
It's actually a scary situation for Alex now. Especially because his cards aren't gonna get reversed by the Drago Buster. If he had a board of full level 3s, it would have been harder for Anna here, but level 1 still being there means that her Drago Buster Millium, if she has the event, gonna be...
It's pretty much guaranteed to go off, yeah. Drago Buster, of course, being a form of guaranteed damage, something we've been seeing a lot more of in Weiss with... First with I think it was Memory Snow, clocking like climaxes straight from deck to clock.
Yep.
And then we saw it here in Slime, and now in Tokyo Revengers as well with the new Mikey finisher. It's a really strong effect to have. Like if it's guaranteed, like it just puts it into clock, meaning your opponent can't cancel it. And the event especially has a pretty big reach, I'd say. Like you reveal the top 7 cards of your opponent's deck, and for every climax in there, you clock 1 off of the top after they shuffle back those cards. Getting that off of the Millium Climax combo, really big. For only 2 stock instead of the regular 5 stock you'd pay when the event is played from hand.
Such a cheap option.
So we do see the assist being played, which allows for some trigger top checks. I'm guessing it's to decide if the Brainstorm ability is being used, which allows you to sack the Millium Brainstorm and check up to 3 cards if you have the level 3 Millium on board, which in this case she does. Depending on what she saw, she might opt to use it. and it seems like a very hard decision to make. Just
She did
looking
also
at.
put the level 3 Dragobuster melee to back row. So that might indicate she doesn't have the climax at least, and wants to stall for a turn. Oh, never mind.
So, will we see the Mealing Brainstorm being used here? For the top checking ability. It does cost a hand, so it's not like a free top check. No, we're just seeing a regular vanilla swing turn, I guess. The Milim isn't live, but the Benimaru is, so there's always the option of the burn 1 on reverse. And it also resolves in both players' turns, so doing it now and then also having the option in your opponent's turn, it's quite big. Okay, so she did actually see the level 3 climax with the assist. So I'm guessing she was contemplating if she wanted to go grab it or trigger it. In the end, deciding to trigger it. Allowing for a pretty scary board to be set up. Double Gelt and a Benimaru, that's very hard for almost anyone to get over.
Yeah. I feel like this tells us that she doesn't have the event in hand. Otherwise she would have probably just took the climax.
Could also be... I mean, Alex's deck was also not that compressed, so maybe spending stock on the event didn't really seem like a huge payoff, as the chance of actually hitting stuff with it was kind of unlikely. And depending on what she has left in deck, she might have left a very favorable deck state.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Alex is thinking about uncoring the Lion King here. He's probably, yeah, he probably wants to finish this turn. So that's probably why he thought about it. Especially with not much hand.
Opting not to encore indicates he probably has another copy in hand. Playing a new one is obviously cheaper than restocking.
Yep. You might also have just a different level 3 in hand, right? Could have the... what's it called? The level 3 Bedivere?
I mean, drop searching for a new Lion King also pays off, as the drop search does allow him to afterwards shuffle back characters, and also allows him to check his deck state to see what kind of numbers he wants to shuffle back in. If he does go for that route. And then just being able to replay the Lion King from hand instead of encoring it also procs the top check off of the brainstorm, meaning he can confirm if he does find a burn or not, making this slightly more optimal play than just straight up encoring the Lion King.
Yep, that's true.
Even though the end result is like the same amount of stock. This just gives him a lot more information to work off of, and which might be crucial. Yeah.
Yep. Well, we'll see here. He's shuffling for his life. Because he knows that if he doesn't manage to finish Ana this turn, he's gonna have to survive an onslaught.
You're correct in that. Now, what is favorable for him, the drop search actually allows him to side without penalty, so he's not leaving any direct lanes per se with this current board, which means that he doesn't have to be that worried about the burn 2 on direct attack, which might actually even be more devastating than the top checks, which always has the potential of whiffing. How unlikely that may be. But he is forced to put up his brainstorm, meaning that he will probably, unless side attacking with the last one, leave at least one open lane, giving Ana some options.
Well, he is playing the climax.
Yeah, which means he's allowed to heal one on play. Very strong ability.
Yep. Oh,
Ooh,
did find the 2. That's huge.
Turn 2 is good, but he does swing for 4 here, unless he's side attacked, and I think it is a side attack. Which means he's actually presenting lethal right now. Off of 1 card, which is really scary. There's still 2 attacks left after this. Seems like a very good position for Alex to be in right now.
Yep.
I personally would be quite happy with these odds of finishing the game right here.
Yeah, same. I think if you're Ana here, this is really scary.
Yeah,
leaving living or dying up to 1 card from the top of your deck. Really rough. But we'll see, maybe the new shuffle rule is actually saving her here. See.
So yeah, the new shuffle mechanic interrupts the damage. So
yeah, Alex reminding her. Oh,
a bit of a
hiccup, but it doesn't change the fact that she is gonna eat too,
much.
so
yeah, that ends the game.
That ends the game. So Fate Grand Order taking it over Slime. Really well played by both players here, I think.
Definitely. I think in the end, FGO managed to push it through. Managing to push it through to the end, showing off the power of the Lion King. We didn't really see multiples as Slime was able to contest the board. And it only becomes scarier from there. Like if the 1 Lion King lives and you get to have a second copy on the board with it, and you're just swinging for 5 instances, maybe even more if you get that 3rd copy, if they manage to survive long enough. And especially if you're able to sculpt the 2-1 counter that we've seen being played and actually was resolved, then the Lion Kings just have free reign over your opponent, especially at 13k power cross turn. It's just really big, really good set.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this just goes to show that just the fact that he didn't manage to field multiple Lion Kings just goes to show that both players really tried their best and did their best to kind of counteract the strategies that their opponents presented. But yeah, in the end, FGO came out on top, and I think we're gonna go to a little break. Stay tuned right now for round 4, and then we'll see you once it's ready.